All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just start this off real quick by saying number one, pardon my hair. I just woke up, but hey, it's the internet, and I'm black, so people are gonna make my hair regardless. But let's not get into that. I want to go ahead and just take the time to talk about some wrestling real quick because this is just me testing out the live, and I figure what better way to do that than to talk about wrestling. Let's go. First of all, I just want to say this real quick. The John Moxley bump was very, very, very like wrestling fans really kind of they oversold that more than more than Moxley did. Okay, like I feel like wrestling fans nowadays, back in the day, wrestling fans used to say, "We want blood, we want blood, we want blood," and now they're like, "Okay, maybe not so much blood anymore," and that's just kind of annoying to me because, like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You know what I'm saying? There is a genuine concern for John Moxley's physical safety, but um it's weird because like peeps don't know that, like, first of all, I most hardcore wrestlers like doing the hardcore stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like it doesn't really make sense to get upset, like, because the wrestling fans are trying to say, "Oh, this is AEW. AEW is just bad booking. They made them do that because they just wanted more money." Blah blah blah. Like, dog, I don't think y'all understand how much hardcore wrestlers love doing like the crazy spots. Like, there's wrestling, like, it's a lot like Jeff Hardy when he. It's a lot like Jeff Hardy jumping off of stuff. It's not like he does that stuff because he's paid to. He does that stuff because he likes it. Like, people are the wrestling community is wacky. The wrestling community is a little bit bonkers, and I really wish that people would just sort of understand that. Like, I really wish that people would just understand that professional wrestlers, some of them are just a little bit off the deep end, and it's not a bad thing that they're off the deep end because they have a place where they can go to express themselves in such a way. I think it's weird. I think it's weird. I think that's a really weird thing for people to get upset about. I think that's a really weird thing to try to find a way to get up, especially because like wrestling fans want to use that as a means to say we hate AEW just that much more because it keeps doing stuff like this. Like, bro, y'all don't like. Can y'all just like wrestling, please? But okay. Also, I do know that like I'm gonna get like zero. I do know that this is gonna probably be like zero things. I got like 200 subscribers on this thing. I don't expect anybody to care about this live, so I'm not really like, I'm gonna probably get some hater comments. You can't even fill up. You can't even fill up your own. The AEW can't fill up a stadium. You can't even fill up your own chat box. It's like, I don't care, man. I do this stuff because I like doing it. Because as a guy that's involved in professional wrestling, I'm loopy, and I like the idea of being able to be in a situation where I can express myself. Um, but that's the thing though. It's like it's crazy. It's crazy. I think that but yeah, like I don't think that I feel like because like it's more my issue with the wrestling community is never going to be the wrestlers or the wrestling company. It's always going to be with the wrestling fans. And I say this as somebody who actually loves wrestling fans. I love wrestling fans. I love talking with wrestling fans. I love interacting with them. But sometimes, bro, it's like, how y'all going to see the John Moxley bump and then say some stuff like they didn't care about his well being. John Moxley don't even care about his well being. Shut up. Um, but yeah, there's that. WrestleMania though is something I also wanted to talk about too. I think WrestleMania is going to do like I mean this every WrestleMania has is going to slap this Netflix era of Netflix era of WWE, specifically WWE Raw, has just been like I haven't been able to watch SmackDown at all. I've only been able to watch Raw because I got like a Netflix. Shout out to the homie for providing me with the Netflix. But like we're watching, but like like so far watching WWE Raw has actually kind of made me feel what's wrong I'm looking for. It definitely kind of like it made me think that there's suspicion in professional wrestling again. It made me feel like professional wrestling is like I like the idea of not knowing something. Like when EO won the women's championship, when EO won the women's championship, I ain't gonna, because like I'm so used to Rhea Ripley is getting what John Cena used to get, and it's kind of annoying me that wrestling fans hated John Cena for the same exact thing that Rhea Ripley is getting today. Like, when's the last time y'all saw Rhea Ripley lose? Think about it. When was the last time y'all saw Rhea Ripley lose? How often do you see Rhea Ripley lose in comparison to how she won or how she wins, right? Meanwhile, wrestling fans are out here like, mommy, you about to go? Okay. Like mommy, which is dope. I'm not saying anything is wrong with Rhea Ripley. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with like she deserves what she's getting because she's just that good. It makes sense. But what I'm saying is that like when John Cena got the same sort of like ordeal way back in the day, wrestling fans was like, Super Cena, he should lose. He got to go heel so I can like him. He keeps on appealing to children. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's just kind of weird how that happens. And also, I gotta check my sound real quick to see if, like, okay, sound's working. But yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Is that like I do think that like Super Cena. There's no such thing as a Super Cena. There's no such thing. Like if there's no such thing as Super Rhea, there's no such thing as Super Cena. Does that make sense? But yeah, shoot. But what else? What else am I gonna grab about? But like I said, though, I do love. First of all, I love triple threat matches. I'm watching ECW right. I'm watching the early episodes of ECW right. Well, I shouldn't say early episodes of ECW. ECW isn't even around anymore. I'm watching ECW right now, and they're building up to Sabu franchise and Terry Funk right now. Like they're building up for that. I love a good triple threat match. So I love the fact that the women's championship match is going to be Rhea, Belair, and Io. Rhea, Io, Belair. But I love that. I do kind of feel like it feels random, and I feel like Rhea is just going to get the title right back. You know what I'm saying? But also, can we just like? But also, quick heads up: Bianca Belair is undefeated at WrestleMania. They might try to end the streak. They might try to end the streak, which wouldn't. I feel like the only reason why they put Bianca Belair in this match is because they want to end the streak. Because right now Bianca Belair could easily be like feuding with she could be like feuding with Naomi and Jade Cargill and all this other stuff. But it's like she only got like 2 wins, y'all. She only has 2 wins. Wait, 2? Hold on. Does she have no? She got 3. No, hold on. Does Bianca Belair have 2 wins or 3 at WrestleMania? Because she's undefeated, but I know she's only been in 2 manias. Uh, dang, I don't. The fact of the matter is that like I feel like Bianca Belair is being incorporated into the WrestleMania match just so they can take her streak, which I don't appreciate because we don't have any more undefeated streaks at WrestleMania. Undertaker's was the only one that lasted that long. I think Edge has one. No, Edge don't have one. Who else? Dang, I don't know anybody else who's undefeated at WrestleMania. I think that honor does go to Bianca Belair. And if they get her to lose it, she would only be two. She will only be like 2-1 or 3-1 at WrestleMania, and I don't like that. By the way, controversial take. You can tell a lot about a professional wrestling fan based on how they feel about Bianca Belair, and I will go deeper into that. Most wrestling fans, I mean, you take away the wrestling fan part of them. There's some of them are still just dudes who don't like women and don't like black people. I'm not as a controversial take, I know, but like as a controversial take, I know, but there's just some things that you could just look at a wrestling fan and just kind of know for a fact that they like I said, ask a wrestling fan about Bianca Belair and then ask them about like Gunther, right? They kind of in the same ballpark as far as like how successful they are. Whereas Gunther is much more successful, but Bianca Belair literally has 2 WrestleMania wins in a row. You know what I'm saying? She debuted her WrestleMania debut was her winning the women's championship. Do you understand how important that is? Do you understand how big of a deal that is? You see what I'm saying? Like that's like if you were to debut at WrestleMania and you win a title in your WrestleMania debut, that's like the biggest way to start your career off. You can't you're the GOAT, sort of. In any case, I love triple threat, but yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Completely off subject. I also think that well, like I said, I love triple threat matches. I love triple threat matches, and I especially love the I love triple threat matches that have like nothing of value involved with it. It's just three people who just want to fight each other. That's the reason why I'm so excited about Rollins, Punk, and Roman, because of the fact that like it's funny to me because like these are just three guys who just hate each other. It feels like Punk has no. It kind of feels like Punk has no reason to be there, but then you realize that Punk and Rollins is literally like Punk and like because Punk and I don't think Punk and Roman really have like beef like that. But like everybody hates Rollins, and Rollins hate those guys, and it's like it's kind of serendipitous if you think about it because if not for CM Punk, the Shield probably wouldn't have been a thing, and like it just feels like their careers were kind of meant to intertwine like this. It's kind of crazy how it sort of like just sort of all just comes together. I just think that that's kind of wild. But like I love, like I said, I'm loving the triple. I'm loving that this is gonna probably be a triple threat mania. I'm loving the fact that like I do. I'm not. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm not excited about Cena versus Cody at all because if Cena wins, he beats Ric Flair's streak. Which, by the way, Ric Flair's streak. What? He doesn't. He has okay. He has 17 world. He has 16 world title runs, but only two of them, three, two, only two of them are WWE. Technically speaking, he doesn't have a streak. He just has. He's won a whole bunch of titles throughout a whole bunch of companies. You see what I'm saying? He didn't necessarily. It's not like he won the WWE Championship 16 or 17 times. He's only won the world. He's only won the WWE title like twice or three times. Twice. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't start watching. Full disclosure here, I didn't start watching professional wrestling until like 2003, like late 2002, early 2003. Literally, I watched maybe the fourth episode or so of SmackDown. But like like I said, I saw it. It got me hooked. Oh my god, I'm yapping. I'm yapping, but I don't care. I like wrestling. I want people to hear me talk about wrestling. I want this to be kind of like a regular thing. Uh, and also, this is probably the best way for me to do it because my microphone keeps acting up on my default video thing. But yeah, but yeah. I said this WrestleMania, I'm not really excited about Cena versus Cena versus Rhodes. Although I will say the promos leading up to it have been just magnificent. And I say this as somebody who doesn't even care about promos. But yeah, I will say that I think that shoot, I lost my place. Yeah, I want to be excited about it, but it's like the match just doesn't feel like it's definitely gonna feel like it's like because if Cena wins, he's beaten Ric Flair's record, and has gone on to become like a guy who's won multi world championships in WWE. But if Cena loses, this is a pass the torch moment. You know what I mean? Which is also just as good because, like, let's face it, if there's anybody who deserves the torch at this point, it's definitely Cody Rhodes. I am very excited for Jey Uso versus Gunther, though. I'm very excited about that for a multitude of reasons. One of them being, like, Jey has to win. Jey has to win. Like, I'm not, like, look, Gunther is a great wrestler. He's spectacular. He's done amazing things. He's been champion probably about the majority of the time that he's been in the company. But like Jey Uso is like literally selling like he's selling like if you actually were to talk to a wrestling fan, they'll tell you that a wrestler's success is based on how much merch they're selling and how much merch they're selling, like how many people are into them and how over they are. And Jey Uso literally gets over by doing this. This is over. Do you like this, you know how over this is? I can do this and another wrestling fan will know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I can do the yeet, and wrestling fans will know what the yeet means. There'll be people who's probably not even that big into wrestling who knows what the yeet means now. They probably won't know where it came from, a drunken interview, but they'll know. You see what I'm saying? I'm at that point right now where it's just like, yo, let him win it. Bro, he wins it, he blow the roof off that joint. Are you serious? Las Vegas will like that would be like the biggest win in all of Las Vegas history. Come on, man. Give this dude give it to him. Also, can we just talk about the fact that they just completely got rid of Imperium without just like nobody's talking about it, and I get it. I understand. Ludwig Kaiser does kind of need his own thing, but they really just hated that third guy, even though he was good. But it's just kind of weird because it's like they really just got rid of Imperium, but they just didn't give Kaiser his own theme song yet. Like, is Kaiser even still with Gunther? Right? Like, what is happening? It's just wild. I don't like that either. I don't like it when like professional wrestling companies just sort of like phase a tag team out and just have them like just do single stuff. It just like because it's like because it makes sense for them to do that. It makes sense for them to do that because like sometimes some wrestlers just don't want to be connected to another wrestler. But I do find it just a little bit weird. It's like there should have been something near. Like if you're used to seeing a tag team or if you're used to seeing a stable, there should be a reason why they're just sort of going the wrong way. You know what I mean? Especially for this long. When was the last time we saw an Imperium match? When was the last time we saw Imperium have a match together? See what I mean? It's like I don't like that little. I don't like that because it's like if we're going to like give Kaiser his own thing, then we have to really just take into consideration. We got to give him his own theme song too. We got to give him his own we got to give him his own intro. We gotta make Kaiser stand out because he's now starting to stand out. That makes sense. Shoot, at least I don't know. But like I said, I don't like that. Like they could have did something. I feel like they could have did something with that. You know what I mean? Maybe not have them feud against each other, but just sort of have them, but just sort of like have them maybe have a Kaiser go for a championship and have Gunther just give him his blessing or something. I don't know. They can't even hang out backstage anymore. Like nothing. There's nothing there. But yeah, if you're gonna break up a tag team, though, I feel like there's multiple ways to do it. But the silence, let this guy go this way, let this guy go this way. I don't think that, especially if they're on the same show, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, put Kaiser on SmackDown. Isn't his girlfriend over there? Like, no, he's Kaiser's dating Tiffany Stratton, right? Is he? Okay. Like I'm just saying, like y'all can't put if we're going to split up Imperium, if we're going to split up Imperium, put Kaiser on the show with his girl. I mean, why not, right? Come on, y'all. What is happening in this? What is happening? Like that's lazy writing. That's lazy writing. But you know what isn't lazy writing? You know what isn't lazy writing? That I'm really like I said, I'm loving the suspense that I'm being built for like WWE Raw. Uh, but because like I'm loving the fact that Chad Gable is that luchador, and we're just not supposed to know that. You know what I mean? He does the slow motion suplex. Okay, I'm sorry, that's him. You think that's him? You don't think that's him? He's not being framed. Are you serious right now? No, no, that's not it. He has on the same clothes. And he has on and the mask is like an American flag mask. He's being framed. So no, he's talking. New York security? No way. New York security is the best security in the country. Am I like? Hopefully that will give me some New York, some New York support. But that's what I'm saying though, is that like I 100% do believe that like I will say this, so I'm gonna go ahead and just like say this though, like 100. But there's a lot of like, my whole thing is that like you can't get me to dislike wrestling at this point. One thing I will say is that like I'm starting to see like wrestling is only getting good, wrestling is only getting better, and I just think that like there's a lot that goes into there's a lot that goes into professional wrestling that I feel like fans don't care to acknowledge because for them it's like, oh, we just want to see the finished product, and if we don't like the finished product, then this whole thing was crap. Like screw the work that went behind it. You know what I mean? And I don't like that. That's kind of one of the big reasons why I'm so tough on fans. I'm so tough on like professional wrestling fans is because like it's one thing to dislike something because you don't find it appealing to you, but it's another thing to say other people should dislike it because I dislike it. I don't like that because that means that you're trying to turn your personal preference into that means you're trying to turn your personal preference into like some sort of universal standard, and no, that shouldn't fly. That should not fly. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just cause like, oh, I don't think this wrestler's the best, so nobody should like this wrestler. Like, and one thing I kind of hate about wrestling, one thing I also kind of hate is when wrestling fans do that, they act like that's the one thing that they're not doing. You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of that either. That's the reason why I hate these tier lists and stuff like that. Because I don't like tier lists for that reason because like people be like, oh well, this person didn't make this tier list, so this person's not that important. This person's not that big of a deal. Or they'll say something like, oh, this person is this number on this tier list, and that's why that person isn't like valuable or anything. Like you place your value on like what somebody else feels about a professional wrestler, and then try to say that that's your genuine feelings. It's like, come on, man, calm down. I don't like that. You can keep that. I just like wrestling, bro. um, but yeah. Uh, I don't know what else. Like I said, I'm just yammering right now because, like I said, initially this is just me testing out my lie to see if it works. And I've been, like I said, I've been watching Miss South lately. I just want to go ahead and take this time to point out real quick. The big reason why I'm watching Miss South is because it takes place in Louisiana, it takes place in Louisiana, which is my home state. But also, like when I was growing up, and when I was younger, I was hyping up professional wrestling, and I was talking about it to I was like talking about it to like people who probably stopped watching wrestling like years ago. And one of the things I used to ask was, "Who's your favorite wrestler?" And like these are like older people, so they would say, "Oh, they were a big fan of the Junkyard Dog." And once again, this like I'm asking like old people from Louisiana this, and they're saying stuff like, "Oh, like I like like they're saying that they're a fan of Junkyard Dog, and they're also saying that they're a fan of a Big Cat Ernie Ladd." And the first thing that made me just think was, like I really wish I could have sat down and watched Junkyard Dog's wrestling matches, and finally got the chance to do so. And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, man, Junkyard Dog was basically the Rock for that era. If I could compare Junkyard Dog to anybody in that, it's like because I'm watching Mid South and it's mostly just showing like Mid South stuff. But every so often they'll basically like make references to the fact that like they actually like venture out into other territories and stuff like that. And Junkyard Dog is like just this big deal in all these other places. And it's crazy how it's crazy how we lost that man because like Junkyard Dog wrestled against the likes of One Man Gang and Black Barts and guys like that. It's just like I said, it's wild to me because like the more I think about what we lost with Junkyard Dog, the more it just kind of like makes me. It's kind of crazy because I'm watching Miss South right now, and Miss South got like all these wrestlers from, like I said, this whole era of wrestlers. Some of them are still living today. Like Ted DiBiase and what's his name? Like I said, Ted DiBiase, One Man Gang. Um, I was like I want to say Jesse Barr is still alive. Um, But then you think about but then I also think about I'm watching wrestlers on there that kind of didn't break out and kind of just sort of passed away, like Buck Robley and like there's Buck Robley, Buddy Landell. Um, I want to say I forgot his first name, but I think his last name is Serrano. I think Frank Monty is still alive, and I want to say Vinny Romeo is probably also still alive. I'm trying to think about who else is but it always kind of bums me out because these are wrestlers who are like spectacular, and a lot of them were like really good. Like I say, I always go back to Mr. Olympia because he's like Mr. Olympia. Like I said, one of my favorite things to watch. I love to watch a Mr. Olympia match because he'll end the match with a sleeper, and like he'll put the enemy to sleep, and they'll pass out, and then he'll set them up and bam, wake them up, like after the match is over. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's it's like the nicest thing you can do. But yeah, like got a chance to like just sort of. But I'm watching this stuff, and I'm watching this stuff knowing that this was probably like the wrestling that people of that era was watching from my hometown. So it makes me think like you got people in Louisiana and you got people in Louisiana, Mississippi, and the like watching this company in the '80s. And it's like this is all, and also this is all before the first WrestleMania too. That's the part that makes me really excited. Like, is this is wrestling before WrestleMania, and I don't know, something about that just makes me. It's just I like it. I like it. I think it's kind of cool. Um, what else is there? I'm watching WCW too, and I'm watching like the old episodes of WCW like before. Like I want to say I'm 2 episodes away because I'm watching Monday Nitro right now, and I'm 2 episodes away from Scott Hall showing up. But like we're seeing this whole thing with Macho Man losing his mind because Miss Elizabeth is taking all of his money. Ric Flair got Miss Elizabeth on one arm and Woman on the other, and we it always breaks my heart a little bit to like see Woman because I'm watching both ECW and WCW at the same time right now, and you got like Woman with Kevin Sullivan in ECW. Well, okay, you have Woman with Kevin Sullivan on ECW, and then you see Woman like at one point she's with, like I said, she's with Ric Flair, and it's just like I'm looking at this, and the first thing that's going in my mind is just that, like watching WCW and like see knowing that there's so many wrestlers over there that have passed away. It like like watching wrestling, knowing that there's wrestlers that you were a fan of that passed away is it's kind of depressing, and it also is depressing because like Woman should definitely get a Hall of Fame spot, but because of the publicity that it will give her and people knowing how she passed away, it's kind of like it's a double edged sword. It's like going it's technically doing them good for her to not have a Hall of Fame spot, but she definitely deserves one. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but like I'm gonna try to cheer myself up a little bit because like I'm also watching like Sensational Sherry and Sensational Sherry. Like I just realized how little I actually knew about Sensational Sherry because I'm watching it right now. And bro, Sensational Sherry, she was in ECW and just swinging chairs and beating people up. And there's at some point, like at some point, there was a match. I think it's between Shane Douglas and Sabu. I think it's Shane Douglas and Sabu, or is either Shane Douglas and Terry Funk. I forget who, but like as so like before the bell even rung, Sherry is just on top of Paul Heyman and just wailing on him like crazy. You're just seeing these like you just seeing all you see is like and you have to. This is skinny. Uh, um, Paul Heyman too. So he was much easier to knock down back then because she's just like you just see Sherry just climb, just jump on him, and just like she's like "Wah," and she's just like going crazy. And while this is happening, I want to say Shane Douglas. I want to say he beat Sabu, but it's just a sheer fact that it's like on. I didn't know nearly as much about Sherry Martel as I thought that I did because Sherry Martel was not afraid to get down and dirty, right? She was not afraid to fight. I love that. Like, because I was always under the impression that like they won't hit her because they won't hit her because she's a woman, and it's like no, they have to hit her because she's hitting them. Yeah, man, it's like defend yourself. But yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. Is that like if I could talk about wrestling all day, but this is the 30-minute mark. I am going to I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, test some stuff out. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you liked it or not. We'll start doing this again. All right, y'all. Be cool.